Alright, so a draft deck consists of at least 40 cards. The most successful draft deck consists of 40 cards. In my deck, I use two colors, red and green, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is called a Gruul deck. I had 16 or 17 lands, leaving me with 24 or so creatures, spells, sorceries, and instants. Let's just get right into it. So I started with an Uncharted land, which tap and add 1 mana of the chosen color. So obviously, I was using red or green. We got the Aki Emberkeeper for 2 mana. It's an enchantment creature, a 2/1 Goblin Warrior. Whenever a non-token modified creature you control dies, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. Equipment, auras you control, and counters are modifications. And trust me, this deck was pumping. Fang of Whatever. It's an enchantment creature. It's 1 green. It's a 1/1 Snake Ninja with Death Touch. I pumped this guy up. Fade into Antiquity, definitely one of my favorite cards. For this draft, it was a 3 mana, 2 colorless, 1 green sorcery, exile target artifact or enchantment. The Dragonspark Reactor for 2 mana, it's an artifact. Whenever Dragonspark Reactor or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a charge counter on Dragonspark Reactor. For 4 colorless mana, sacrifice Dragonspark Reactor. It deals damage equal to the number of charge counters on it to target player and that much damage to up to 1 target creature. So, unfortunately, I don't think that I ever remember to use this. Aki Warpaint, it's an enchantment aura for 1 red mana. Enchant artifact or creature, and as long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +2/+1. We got another Fade into Antiquity because you are allowed multiple cards of the same card in a draft. It's another 3 mana sorcery, exile target artifact or we were also packing the Bamboo Grove Archer, which was a 2 mana 3/3 enchantment creature with a defender and reach. You could channel for 5 mana, 4 colorless, 1 green, and discard Bamboo Grove Archer and destroy target creature with flying. We got the Scrapyard Steelbreaker for 4 mana. It's a 3/4 artifact creature. For 1 colorless mana, sacrifice another artifact. Scrapyard Steelbreaker gets +2/+1 until end of turn. And then we got the Web Spinner Cuff. It was a 3 mana creature. It's an artifact creature, 1/4 with reach. Equipped creature gets +1/+4 and has reach. Reconfigure for 4. You can attach a target creature you control or unattach. You got the Story Weave for 3 mana, 2 colorless, 1 green. It's an instant. Choose 1. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, which if you are not new to this channel, you know that we love our +1/+1 counters over here at Gathering with Madison. You can put 2 little counters on target saga you control. The next time 1 or more enchantment creatures enter the battlefield under your control this turn, each enters with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. Now, we do have a few sagas in here. I think in all the games I played, I only got to use 1 saga. So I don't even remember what I have in here anymore because it's been a few days now. I'm always procrastinating. But we have another Bamboo Grove Archer, a 3/3 defender with reach. Okay, then we got the Invigorating Hot Springs. It was a 3 mana enchantment, 1 colorless, 1 red, 1 green. Invigorating Hot Springs enters the battlefield with 4 +1/+1 counters on it. Modified creatures you control have haste. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Invigorating Hot Spring and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Activate only as a sorcery and only once each turn. That is such an awesome card. We got Invoke the Ancients for 5 mana, 4 green, 1 colorless. It's a sorcery. You get to create 2 4/5 green spirit creature tokens. For each of them, put your choice of vigilance counter, a reach counter, or a trample counter on it. In the 2 games that I won out of the draft, I got to play this card, and I, of course, put a trample counter on both. The Brood Suit. This is my guy. I noticed a lot of people at the draft got this card and put it into their deck. It's a 3 colorless artifact vehicle for 4. It's a 4/3 with vigilance. You can crew for 1. Tap any number of creatures you control with total power 1 or more. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. This was an awesome card. So you got the Jokai Trainee. It was 2 mana. It's a 2/2 human samurai creature. Whenever the Jokai Trainee blocks or becomes blocked, it gets a +1/+1 until end of turn. Oops. We got an instant for 1 red mana. It's the Kindled Fury. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until end of turn. The Ecologist, I think I butchered that. Ecologist Terrarium. However the heck you say that. I don't know why I can't say it right now. It's 2 colorless mana. It's an artifact. When the terrarium enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. For 2 colorless and a tap, sacrifice the terrarium. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Activate only as a sorcery. And you got the Jokai Preserver. For 4 mana, 3 colorless, 1 green, it's a 3/3 enchantment creature. When Jokai Preserver enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Channel for 3, discard Jokai Preserver, and put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. So, getting close to the end of the deck, I'm sure you've seen what my theme for my draft deck was with my build, and it was to put the +1/+1 counters on them. So the Rugged Highlands, I added a few cool non-basic lands. It was, this enters the battlefield tapped. When Rugged Highlands enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, tap to add a red or a green. Here's our Saga. As the Saga enters and after your draw step, add a lore counter. Kumano faces Kazakhstan, deals 1 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker they control. When you cast your next creature spell this turn, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. And for the third, we get to transform into the Etching of Kumano, which was an enchantment creature for 2/2, and it has haste. If a creature dealt damage this turn by a source you controlled would die, exile it instead. And pretty art. Let me slide this back into my pre-release sleeve, which I will show you in a minute. We got the Voltage Surge. It's a 1 mana, 1 red mana. It's an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice an artifact. Voltage Surge deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If this spell's additional cost was paid, Voltage Surge deals 4 damage instead. I'm pretty sure I already read this card out. We have another Uncharted Haven, and the Uncharted Haven land. Uncharted Haven enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, choose a color and tap 1 mana of the chosen color. Ooh, we got our Kiran Touched Orochi. It's an enchantment creature. It's a 1/1. Whenever it attacks, choose 1. Exile target creature card from a graveyard. When you do, create a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token. Or exile target non-creature card from a graveyard. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. And then, of course, I put the 16 to 17 lands. I don't remember, and I suck at mental math, so whatever that is to you, that's how many cards. I had 40 cards even. And we won 2 games. So these are my sleeves. I absolutely love them. I ended up getting them for the Crimson Vow pre-release, and it only has 60 sleeves, and it was the only set left, so I have vowed to make this just for my pre-release drafts. And the art card that we got for our pre-release was this, and is already in my deck to separate my empty sleeves. These are the sleeves I used for the lands. But yeah, that was the deck. I also wanted to show you these new dice that I got for the Neon Dynasty pre-release. It's my new D20 Dungeons and Dragons dice set. I also, somebody had gotten the white dice from the pre-release versus the blue or the red, so they were kind enough to trade with me because they know I have my mono white commander deck, so that was really nice of them. And what a pretty dice set, no?